Okay, so we have this other writing skill, which is narrative. It's about the pumpkin papers. So, on the night of December 6, 1948, pale light of a crescent moon barely illuminated the outlines of two men standing beside a pumpkin patch in Carroll County, Maryland. Nearby, a third man stooped low to the ground, groping around his pumpkin before grabbing one, and so over here it says stooped, which is obviously a past tense, and then for grabbing one and pulling off the top. I think pulling would be the one here because it's an action. So I'll put pulling. Let's go to 2. Inside the hall's interior lays a small package. Lane lays a small package wrapped in wax paper. I think lays over here is lying. It definitely does not make sense, and lay doesn't either. So we're gonna go with lays. No change. Okay. Now, the story of these eccentrically concealed microfilm images, affectionately if inaccurately dubbed the pumpkin papers by the press, had begun a decade earlier when Whittaker Chambers, the man who received evidence from the December evening. Okay, so over here they used a dash. As far as my knowledge of the dash goes, there needs to be 2 of them. And over here they used a comma instead, so we have to use a comma here as well. So if I read something from here with press, or actually we just could go without it, I think, had begun a decade earlier. So there's no reason for the dash to be there. It can definitely do without. Okay, so the man who revealed the evidence on that December evening, so he wants to delete the underlined portion and should the writer makes this decision. So if we're looking over here, the main issue that will come up is why should we write it, or if not, why not? So it says it was dubbed the Pumpkin Papers by the press. It had begun a decade earlier when Whittaker Chambers, the man who reveals the evidence on December evening, decided to defect from the underground Communist Party. It was not a decision lightly made, as the Chamber wrote in retrospect. So obviously there's like this whole thing going on with it. So I don't think they should delete it because they're using Chambers previously as well. So to make it make some sense for context purposes, I think we should write that there, because this phrase helps explain why Chambers decided to defect from the Communist Party, because he reveals evidence. No, this is here, it's D, because the phrase identifies one of the unnamed characters in the introduction as Chambers. So one of the 2 men, yeah, December evening, I think that would be it. So next is, it was not a decision that he made, as Chambers wrote in retrospect. Two things made that break and that flight possible. Sure, he could no longer serve a force he believed to be evil. Chambers took his family and temporarily fled into hiding. Okay, so over here they want to support a statement made in the first part of the sentence. So we just need to make it make sense with it was not a decision lightly made. So in any change I was making, the soul itself is in flux. Practicality and precaution are of no more held than presence and crafts. I committed the characteristic crimes of my century. I think over here, this one is because it's very dramatic. But for over here, it says that it was not a decision that he made, and he wrote in retrospect that he committed a characteristic crime of his century, and obviously that also makes sense with the next sentence, which says that sure that he could no longer serve a force he believes to be evil. Because even though he did commit a characteristic crime of his century, he can no longer believe. So yeah, I think that's there. Chambers took his family and temporarily fled into hiding. Um, hid his family for a short time. We'll already have temporarily here, so I don't think a short time is needed. Went on the run and into hiding up to this decision. Went into hiding with his wife and children. We already mentioned that, so no change here. Okay. As a precaution, he also preserved material evidence, including the microfilm that were verified by both his own involvement and the involvement of other underground agents prior from his defection. Prior to his defection. Okay. Then, okay, what is it here? Let's go from the when two investigators traveled to Chamberlain farmhouse. The following evening, he led them to the backyard and revealed the evidence hidden inside a hollow pumpkin. The Jameson traveled to the Chambers house. Is it in the same chamber or chambers? So let's go over here. Chambers. So, oops, the farmhouse of Chambers. Traveled to Chambers. So this over here again, no change. Many people still believe that Agar was innocent, while some sources say the actual content of the microfilm had little relevance to the case. Others suggest that the sequential public interest has created pressure for careful verdicts. What choice were used to smooth this transition from the previous paragraph to this one? So as you can see over here, they say that when the two investigators traveled to farmer houses, they found and they revealed the evidence inside the hollow pumpkin. And then over here, this does not make any sense at all, so we definitely have to change that. It just doesn't go. We don't even know what Algarhis was and what's his involvement here. Even though it might have been mentioned before, but right now we can't really see anything of it. So hiding the markers may not have been wise. Opinions on the importance of the pumpkin papers are split. That's it. While some sources argue that the actual is okay. Then over here we are. He had little relevance to the case. Others suggest that the subsequent public interest. That was a no-brainer. And then in the end, it says the conflict between these two men was only a microcosm of the massive destructive struggle between two incompatible philosophies. Perhaps it is best summarized by Richard Nixon as a struggle dependent upon the question of identity. He wants to create a memorable reference. You are remarkable and a young angel mind. Over here, it's kind of very vague because he wants to make a strong memorable reference, which bears the historical significance of this struggle. So if you go back to the front over here, it says the pumpkin papers. So that's what it's about. It's about the papers, not about the case. It's basically about the getting of the paper. You know, the how it got there and what's used. So it would make sense if you have Whittaker Chambers' own face, tragedy of history. But it could also be this or this. We need to capture the broad historical significance of this struggle. So I think that might be it. Let's have a look. Okay, so I got 3 wrong. Then we'll just go here then. So the first one is here. It was supposed to be lay. Inside the lay a small package. Really, I thought I got that one right. The next one is it has to be note change. there's supposed to be a dash. This is the best choice. It matches the early dash. Oh, I did not see it because I was there. There's always 2 dashes. It's never one together, and I didn't read that, so you need to be reading the whole thing. So that was the other issue. And over here, I did not understand itself because like in any changes as I was making, my soul itself is in flux. So what is we need to know is the best choice is to emphasize his Chamber's struggle to make his decision because it wasn't letting made. I thought that worked, but apparently it didn't because his soul, that actually does make more sense because his soul itself is in flux. Flux means when it's constantly changing. So over there I would give that due credit because that does make sense. So that's it. If I go back to my results, I got skill level 4 even if it's 3 wrong answers. So in that sense we did pretty well, I think, and that was it. That's all there is to this. We're gonna exist this practice and then we're gonna complete a milestone, and then we're gonna go to the next one, which is effective language and syntax. So that's it.